Good morning, everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to learn about some cool fixing features Key Digital has to offer. Today, we do have a lot to cover, so if you guys have any questions, just throw them in the questions box. If we don't have time during the webinar to answer the questions, we'll take as much time as needed after to cover them all. So without further ado, I want to introduce a key speaker from Key Digital, Jonathan Ferry. Jonathan, are you there?
Okay, everybody. Thanks very much. Chris, thank you for the intro there. And Chris, please feel free to chime in throughout. This discussion is really about the problems that folks have had in the field and Key Digital solutions for those. Because one thing I always say, and one thing that we know at Key Digital from our years of dealing with digital video is that problems will happen. Problems will happen with digital video. HDMI problems will always happen. Even if you use Key Digital products, you're going to encounter problems with digital video. But that might be a weird way to start off a presentation. But, so here's the but. We are building problem solvers into all of our products here. And it's the problem solvers we build in, and you taking your time from your day to attend a course like this that will teach you how to overcome those problems, overcome those obstacles, to have a successful installation without any need to return any products, roll out the van a second time, etc. Just knowing how to unlock these tools that are built into Key Digital parts. And so we have a series of products, our fixers, that we'll especially go over. But actually, there's a new problem that's come up as of late. You got a video matrix or distribution system, and the video is fine on your newer displays, but on your older displays, you see a message like this: mode not supported, resolution not supported. Change the resolution of your video source. All right? Has ever happened to you before? You have 4K monitors in 1080p because you're installing a new system, but that customer of yours just refuses to get rid of that legacy television? Well, not to worry, guys. We have a brand new product, an extender called KDEX18G. That is sold as a set, transmitter and receiver sold together. And this product features, it's our first ever extender, HDMI extender over Cat5, that features down convert so that you can have your source come out at 4K, have it distributed through your system, and activate the down convert feature on the extender so that you have that same video source coming in at 1080p on your 1080p displays. Meanwhile, the signal still passes through on the 4K display. And in fact, this is a brand new product. And what you would use, if you could see my mouse, on the EDID dial, you're accustomed to seeing the EDID dial be a handshake that goes to the source. Well, some of the EDID settings for us will say we're going to give the source a 4K handshake and we're going to add the down convert so that the source knows it can output 4K, but then the transmitter itself down converts from 4K to 1080p. And then you actually get another benefit when you do that. Because we do the down convert at the transmitter, you could actually go a little further distance. So here's a larger view of that EDID dial. And you're going to see EDID tables throughout this presentation. But you have your EDID dial there. And when you set it to down convert, then the source comes in at 4K. And the transmitter does the down conversion. So actually you get that distance there of 50 meters, 164 feet versus 35 meters, 115 feet, 1080p versus 4K. The other thing that you see here that we thought about is having HDMI pass-through. HDMI pass-through allows you to have another 4K display, or maybe your AV receiver connected locally there at the rack. And what's interesting with this kit, I just threw these slides together right away, but you see we actually have proprietary technology. Oh man, there's a typo in this slide, isn't there? I see HDBaseT Extender at the top and UHDoTP. This is not HDBaseT actually. This is UHDoTP. I don't know if this is going to work if I stop sharing the slideshow. Oh no, okay. It did stop sharing the slideshow. That's okay. I'm going to throw it back on. Okay, and here we go. And now back to you guys, screen share of this slideshow. And now you see it. Never mind the man behind the curtain, as they say, okay? It is a UHDoTP. This is not HDBaseT. Key Digital has our own proprietary technology that we've created for as a means of extending 4K 18G at a lower price point than we were able to attend previously with HDBaseT. So we're still, of course, using HDBaseT throughout our product line, but our engineers came up with some really fantastic technology that we're implementing here on this product, the EX18G. And that down convert is one of the features that we're very excited about. And that down convert, FYI, is also a feature built into our AV over IP system, the 4K AV over IP products as well. So keep that in mind. And so that's one solution for you. Okay. Now, how about the other solutions and problem-solving tools built in to our HDMI fixers? We talked about incompatible resolutions. What about no signal? What about color spacing problems or broken DDC? Have you ever had these problems happen to you? Well, one of the first tools that is built into our fixing products and our other products like our extenders, matrices, etc., is forced hot plug detection. Now you may be familiar with hot plug detection. It actually comes from what does it actually mean? It means that the product actually is, it comes from the computer being able to adjust, being unplugged from one monitor and plugged into another monitor without rebooting the computer. That's where it comes from. And on the HDMI, they use it as a loop of voltage. So the DVD player may be on 24/7, but the TV is not, right? In a direct one-to-one connection. This is pretty typical. When the TV turns on, it sends hot plug detection voltage back to the source, and the source then knows it has a live partner on the other end of the cable. So the source then sends its voltage to the display, informing it that the display has a partner on the other end of the cable, and that's when the next process like EDID, handshaking, etc. that we'll go into begins. But has this ever happened to you? All your wires are connected, all the LEDs are on, etc., but the television says there's no signal. What might that be? The TV is not getting that hot plug detection voltage, informing it that it has a live partner on the other end of the cable. And that is hot plug detection is sent on pin 19. So, you know, it's all simple in the one-to-one connectivity, right? But we don't live in that world at Key Digital, and nor do you as a custom AV installer live in that world a lot of the time. So we give you the tool of forcing hot plug detection into the high or on state. Oftentimes on our products, our fixers, it comes on the two-way slide switch. Other times it comes on the rotary. And on some of our products, like our matrices, it may come as a command setting you send. So that is built in everywhere, letting all the sources and displays know, or your connected sources and displays know, you have a live partner on the other end of the cable. Even if the display is truly off, we could force this voltage so that the source is constantly outputting, and that reduces sync times and reduces overall potential for those pitfalls, again, that you may encounter when installing digital video. What is the next tool that we have built in? EDID control, EDID handshaking control. Now, EDID is very, very common. You guys know of this as the handshake. Stands for the Extended Display Identification Data, but it's basically a digital file. After the hot plug goes to the display and from the display to the source, then they begin the handshaking process. And the display, regardless of a consumer display or commercial display, provide a handshake to the source, informing it of the supported video resolution and audio format, along with a lot of other information. But for all intents and purposes, let's consider it the supported video resolution and audio format that the display is telling the source that it supports, so that the source outputs a compatible signal. Has this ever happened to you? No audio at the display, but video seems fine? That happened to me recently, and we were able to resolve that through adjusting the EDID handshake. Right there on the dial, get your little small screwdriver tweaker tool, and you have 16 different EDID handshakes that you could choose from. And I'll tell you specifically what happened to us on the phone at Key Digital recently. The installer had DirecTV HR24, and believe it or not, those things are over 10 years old now. So out of the box, they were using a Key Digital extender. Out of the box, the setting 0 was copying the handshake from the display, which is good. That gives the native, the optimal video resolution, audio formatting, as though the source and display were connected one-to-one without an extender in the middle. But we give you this tool to overcome these obstacles, right? And the display was giving a 4K handshake to that DirecTV receiver. And because that DirecTV receiver is going on a decade old, or going on a dozen years old now, more than a decade, it had no idea what a 4K handshake was. And so when it received that, the source actually defaulted to DVI. So it had video, but it did not have audio, because remember DVI, the foundation of digital video? It supported video, but no audio. And so what we did was we took the tool and we went from setting 0 to setting 4 for 1080p with 2-channel audio, and that resolved the issue. And that will resolve the issue for you as well if you ever encounter that problem. What else is built into Key Digital products and fixers? HDCP authentication. Now, HDCP is the real 4-letter word of the HDMI world, okay? It is content. Well, let's look at the diagrams here, left and right. In consumer world, you have this HDCP exchange, and what we're showing here on the right with just a laptop sharing a PowerPoint, let's say, on the screen at the projector, you don't get HDCP authentication. Why is that? HDCP is always going to be there on the HDMI connector, on the HDMI cable, HDMI pins. So the highway is always there, but it's really a software thing that if the source is outputting HDCP encrypted content, protected content, it must ask the display first, hey, yes, I know you want me to send you 1080p and 2-channel audio. I got that from your EDID. But first, before I send you this content, are you going to pirate this content? Are you going to pirate this content? And the display responds with its HDCP compliancy saying, no, I'm not going to pirate this content. And that is what is called an HDCP key exchange. That's why you got your key icon there. And when that key exchange occurs, then the source will output the content. So that is, it is depending on the content, and the content is studio content that is protected, which is why you may also remember HDCP as Hollywood dudes causing problems, because it's just in the Hollywood and studio created content typically that is protected by HDCP. And has perhaps this ever happened to you? You got all your displays connected through your system, and one of the displays is giving you static image. You remember what the static looks like when you're trying to tune in to the Mike Tyson boxing match in the 90s and you didn't have the pay-per-view? But you look at this system, and the 2 out of 3 displays that are on, display 3 is the exact same make and model as display 2. So you know it's not truly an HDCP problem. But that broken HDCP may look like that static image sometimes. Actually, that is what's called broken DDC. And you guys in the north, we're getting close to winter here. You may have seen this kind of happen actually, and to add another twist to this, sometimes that display 2 might even be working, but then the heater turns on or the elevator goes up. Heaters are especially bad, space heaters. Why? A lot of EMF, electromagnetic interference, EMI, a lot of radio frequency waves and whatnot that just really are noisy on those space heaters. And so for that problem, we know the display is HDCP compatible. We know all the equipment is HDCP compatible. Why do we have a broken image on display 2? Because the noise is so great that it may be impeding on your cat line. That is the most common issue that may occur in the field. When you have an noisy electrical environment, it gets on your cat line if your cat cable is not shielded, and it breaks that cat line transmission, resulting in the static on the screen. That is pretty common. But for that, we have a solution called debug mode. You see, the fixer is able to provide HDCP authentication to the key digital system saying, yes, we are HDCP compliant. How are we doing that? Because we are, in fact, HDCP compliant, and we have HDCP licensing on every input and output connection of our product. And therefore, we are checking HDCP when needed, and we are able to provide that. And when if there's that electrical interference down line, we are still sending that signal through because we are checking HDCP when that line is healthy. And so that makes for a reliable system that you, the integrator, as the one who may be getting any kind of, are the one that has to see this thing through. You're not responsible for the elevator in the building, perhaps, and you can't tell your customer, hey, don't turn on the heater. But here's a solution for you. Allow our key digital device to authenticate HDCP. Now that you have the software layers addressed with TMDS, with EDID management and HDCP authentication, now you have your signal. But just having the signal isn't enough. We look here at a scope reading at 1 meter and 3 meters, and believe it or not, everybody, this is the exact same HDMI cable. HDMI is such high bandwidth, sending it over copper is actually not quite ideal. And you get your ones and zeros, ones being the helix shape, zeros being that open eye. Remember open eye technology? And if that eye is no longer open, then that results in a lost pixel. And so if you ever see that digital sparkle on the screen, just know that you are dangerously close to falling off the cliff. Remember, HDMI picture always looks fantastic, right? Because it's digital. But it has a very low threshold for loss. And if you start seeing a few lost pixels, you're likely very close to falling completely off the cliff and having no image whatsoever. And that is why we have TMDS Re-Clocking. TMDS Re-Clocking will take the incoming signal that maybe looks like the bottom open eye, and it will re-clock, effectively creating a brand new signal out of a previously poor incoming poor signal. And we do this on the input side of all of our products, the input side. Why? Because maybe you don't have a short 1 meter or even 3 meter cable coming from your source into the key digital. Instead, maybe you have a long cable. And that's why we apply the TMDS Re-Clocking on the input side, so that any outputs of the key digital system get that brand new signal coming out. So hot plug detection, TMDS Re-Clocking, EDID management, handshaking management, and HDCP authentication in all key digital fixers. And we're going to give you a nice bonus here at the end. In a moment, you're going to see that it's not just the fixers, but if you should have these kind of problems, even if it's not a key digital system, just know you can pick up these products, KD-Fix 418A, KD-Fix 418, KD-Fix 22. And what do these products give us? Well, the Fix 418A, 418, if you read these the nomenclature out, you'll see that this is a fix for 18G related problems, connectivity issues. Same with the Fix 418, but the A version adds audio de-embedding, which is often needed now because sources, more and more sources just give you an HDMI connection. How do you break the audio out? Audio de-embed is available on the Fix 418A and the Fix 22, which was a fixer for HDCP 2.2 related problems. 18G to 10G down convert. It's not the 4K to 1080p down convert, but it is a bandwidth reduction we will show you. Also the ability to compress or decompress. USB powered on some of these devices. Debug mode we showed you, where you can have the HDCP authentication from the key digital device, available across the board on all three of these fixers. Input source boost, which is especially necessary for your new 4K, 18G, 444 types, heavy sources. EDID handshake control, yes, across the board with the newer products having the HDR as part of the handshake. HDCP 2.2 fix, we'll talk about where that is necessary in a moment. And all three fixers have TMDS Re-Clocking across the board and HDCP authentication across the board, which I went over just a moment ago on the previous slides. So I mentioned more and more sources, like we look right here at Apple TV, and what if I needed left-right analog audio to go into my multi-zone system? Then we could feed this HDMI source into our Fix 418 and take the audio, analog audio out. Or PCM, because again, Apple TV on, and now, I mean, now the connectivity is even less, but pictured here had Toslink, but didn't have PCM on an RCA. So this audio de-embed is very, very, very useful for you professional integrators. So that's why these fixer devices are products that we say, please keep this, just keep one on your van at all times, because again, you're gonna have problems with digital video. These are ways of overcoming those obstacles, solving those problems, and making sure you don't have to roll out another van to fix a problem. Okay, now on the audio de-embedding, it should be noted that when we have audio de-embed in key digital products, we're not doing format conversion. We're not doing volume control or EQ control. So that means that no format conversion means if you want analog, let's say, to go into your audio system, then you should set the source to be a 2-channel PCM output. How do you do that? How can you guarantee it's going to output 2-channel? Well, the EDID control, of course. See, it comes full circle there. How about source boost? Well, you know, when people ask about, hey, I understand I need a fixer, where do I install it is typically the next question. And the answer to that is that, you know, you're usually able, based on the problem, to have an idea where you should start. But the answer to that truly is, you know, you're going to start in one place and it's probably going to fix it for you. But if it doesn't, move it to the other place, you know, because these things, you know, if you look at the on the source boost at the short, or if you have a long HDMI cable, sometimes you need to put it on the front end. Now, when is an example there? I would actually say at the top example, I would say like an AV receiver. A lot of surround receivers, they don't support long HDMI cables because they're not perhaps thinking about the long, you know, the systems that integrators are working with. You know, again, these systems are not point-to-point, one-to-one short HDMI cables. A lot of time you have extenders, long HDMI, etc. Now, so if it's an AV receiver, typically I would say put it at the front end, like we were showing on the front example. And sometimes though, you know, if that, let's say for example, you got a long HDMI cable and then you need to actually just move the TV to another wall, then you could go into our fixer acting as a coupler and then have another short HDMI cable going to your display. And that's kind of what we're showing on the bottom example there. So that's two ways of using these fixers. How about 18G to 10G down convert? Well, what is that doing? Well, a lot of you installed 4K compatible systems, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago that were 10 gigabits per second. 10 gigabits per second. They were not 18 gigabits per second. And that was before, you know, the HDCP or HDMI, excuse me, 2.0 came out. And so the you know, you got your matrix or your cables or your extenders that are all 10G, but now the client says, oh, I got a new 4K source and it's not working, because perhaps with those 4K sources, a lot of them, when they output 4K, they're only going to be able to output a 4K signal at 18 gigabits per second. And so what we have built into these, the Fix 418 models, is a chroma sampling adjustment. It takes the 444 chroma and adjusts it to 420. And believe it or not, everybody, just that simple adjustment alone will get your 18 gigabit per second bandwidth down to 10 gigabits per second, so that it could, your source could go through your 10G infrastructure. Similarly, the Fix 418 actually connect, you could purchase two of them and use it almost like a extender set, transmit and receive, where you can actually compress 18G down to 10G and then decompress at the second unit, like the decoder, if you will, from 4K or from 10G back up to 18G. Now you'd have to purchase two of those, but this is basically using the same technology that HDBaseT chipsets use once they started introducing 18G compatibility on HDBaseT. There become a chipset available that enabled 18G to 10G down convert and then decompressing back from 10G to 18G. And all of this technology is built into all products. This is the bonus I was alluding to earlier. It's not just these fixers. We actually have this technology, TMDS Re-Clocking, EDID Handshaking, HDCP Authentication, and Force Hot Plug Detection built into all of our fixers, all of our extenders, switches, DAs and splitters, matrix switches, and even our AV over IP system. So rest assured that what you learned here, you don't have to just buy special boxes to fix problems. Installing Key Digital means that you can install confidently that you are going to be able to overcome any obstacles you may encounter when installing digital video, when you work with Key Digital products. So here's a reminder of the Fix models that we went over today: the Fix 418A, the Fix 418, and the KD HD Fix 22. So with that said, Chris, if you want to say any words and turn it over to questions, or let me know any questions that may have come in.
Well, right this second, it looks like we don't have any questions coming in. Man, there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong with HDMI, but you guys have the solutions to fix it right there. Most of the time, right in the baluns that you guys have available. That's one thing I want to really point out too is, you know, there's a lot of baluns out there. Most of them have the auto fix feature, which we all know that automatic doesn't automatically fix things a lot of times. To be able to manually set it is really, really handy. So it's nice to be able to give that control back into the integrator's hands and not just have a little black box, pray that it fixes it.
Exactly. Yeah. These are all tools that really, you know, the integrator can do really exactly what they want, and ensuring that you have compatibility across the board with all of these tools. You're going to be able to have a signal that's going to make all your displays happy, video and audio on the screen, and make your customer happy. So that's what it's all about.
Definitely. And I see you popped up all of the contact information. Everybody that's on the call, I understand as questions come up, you know, it may not be right now, but later today, later this week, your next project, you know, you're going to run into something. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to the contact, everybody at Key Digital, your account manager at Capital Sales. We're all here to help. We love chatting with you guys.
That's right. Yeah. And in addition to what we have here, this is just our team in the U.S. and abroad, but definitely everything through Capital Sales. Or if you do come to our guys, Scott in the north, Dwayne Rains in the south, or Dwayne Husbands or Leon, you know, we're working closely with Capital Sales, and we'll you know, we work as a team, as a well-oiled machine working together. All right. Well, Chris, I mean, if anything does happen to come up, you know, hit me up and we'll get those answers to your customers. We really appreciate the Capital Sales team having this co-sponsored webinar with us. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you, Jonathan, and thank everybody for hopping on. And I hope everybody has a great day.